There should be in here. Can you give me a wooden popsicle stick from over there? Yeah, that's fine. But nobody's on yet. How's it going, Renee? You're the only one here so far. How are you, Adam? We're going to start as soon as we get a few more people. Yeah, we have a huge book collection. We've been kind of amassing it over the last decade. So, the good thing about working from home is we can actually read them all. So, hi, Michelle. How's it going, Jay? Hi, Mom. So how many of you know about Ward so far? Oh, well, my little Jay, my counter's a little behind. I just see it like jumping up. Now it's at 6 people. Love you too, Mom. I know it's kind of late. I started later than I wanted to, but we were downtown. Well, I guess I should start. We have 6 people watching right now. So I guess as people join, we can go a little bit further into detail. But I brought up the subject of wards in the group earlier. Can y'all hear me just to make sure everything's working properly? Hopefully it's working. I've never done this before. This is my very first live video on this ever. So, if you can all hear me, I'll just... Good night, Mom. Love you. I'll just kind of start, and then you can tell me if you don't hear me, and then we can figure it out from there. So, I brought up wards a little while ago, that everyone should have them in their house. They're good for protecting your space, protecting the people in your space, your pets, everything. So anything can be warded. We have a lot of wards in our house. The fact that we run a business, you kind of get a lot of haters, so we keep that extra protection. One of the biggest types of wards you will see in a witch's house is the witch bottle. It's the easiest to make. It's pretty easy to hide. It can kind of look like a decoration. Like the one that we have. We actually have 4 main ones in the 4 corners of our house, so the north, south, east, and west. And they look like this one right here. So this is basically just an alcohol bottle that we purpose into a ward. So you fill it with the herbs, the kind of elements like sulfur, nails, pins, broken glass, personal concerns, so like hair, fingernails, vinegar. We put vinegar in there. That's really good warding liquid. A whole bunch of other stuff. And then you kind of consecrate it with the candle. So you put that on top, let it burn out and seal it. And then this kind of becomes like a spirit vessel for your house. The mirrors are meant to reflect back anything that is sent against you. So it's going to kind of protect you in that way, making sure your enemies can't attack you. And then you just kind of store this around. We usually invite spirits to inhabit our wards. Kind of makes it a little bit more powerful. So the way we do that is we add some kind of animal element, and usually that's in the form of like an insect or like a bone. I think this one has like a coyote bone in it, so it gets that like real mischievous trickstery energy in it. Our main witch bottle, though, this one is the one that we keep somewhere hidden in our house, is this one. This one was the very first one we made. So this is the one that we have, I think we posted the instructions for how to create a witch bottle. We put this in the group. So this one is actually pretty much our household imp, if you want to say that. This has an insect carcass in it, so that's the form that our imp will take. And then we give it pennies whenever it's doing a good job. I don't know if you can see that in there. So usually I give it 3 pennies whenever we need it and light a new candle on top when I need to summon it. So this is like in times where I feel like enemies are really starting to get a little vicious, or just like stuff isn't going right. Maybe if people are sick in the house, I'll light it just to make sure we keep our protections up. But they're just all around good protection elements that you can have. So those are bottles, but you can use anything for a ward. So get creative with it. Another fun thing that we like to make into wards are these little tiny cauldrons. You can get them pretty cheap online. Make sure it has a lid so you can hide all the ingredients in there. The good thing about this is like these don't stand out in a witch's house. You just kind of have them sitting somewhere and nobody's really going to mess with it. And you pretty much do the same, construct it the same way you would a bottle. So you put the dry ingredients, some kind of wet ingredient to kind of give it life and sustenance, and then basically feed it whenever you need to. Other things you can use, I don't know if you guys have these in upstate New York, we have them a lot in Chicago, are these little, I guess they're for margaritas? They're like little margarita terracotta things. You can get them online, I know that. The great thing about these is they're small, you can fill them all the way to the top, and then you can seal them with wax. So, and then you can paint them, decorate them, make them cool little vessels to put around your house. Whenever we get alcohol, we try to get cool bottles for it. So this is like one that's going to eventually be a ward. So it's kind of just waiting. This is a little Kraken bottle. So we absolutely love these. Also, like if you have any kind of little dolls or anything like this hanging around your house, these make good wards too. What you would do is you'd create like a little packet, so like kind of like a mojo bag or something, and then you'd hide it inside the doll. And the good thing about this is this kind of will become like a little familiar or something in your house. So these are also, plus they make great decorations as well. So you're hiding it in plain sight, but it's doing protection for you. So just to kind of show you, this is basically the voodoo store right now. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the voodoo store, but this is kind of where we do all of our work. So like all of our windows will usually have like a bunch of wards. Let's see if we can get some close-ups. There's Candelaria, Expedite, Santa Muerte. So let's see what's going on here. So this is an Evil Eye Bell. There we got. So this is one of our wards. And then we kind of mix cultural traditions. Chicago's a pretty big melting pot. So we have this, the little lucky coins from China. So these not only are protection, but they also bring prosperity, luck, fortune. My husband's from Peru, so we get a lot of Peruvian stuff. So this is Lord of Miracles, very protective. Crossed coyote bones. So we will not only hang these as wards, but we will also hang these on wards to kind of give them a little bit more power. This is an Angelica root, so we have that for protection. This is a really good protective herb, associated with angels, that kind of thing. So if you work with angels or angelic spirits, this is a great one to have. He got that from an event that he went to. Let's see. Sneak around our lighting system. This is where we get like the ones that we make. So this is, I can put the instructions, I think I put the instructions on how to make this one in the group before. So this is basically like a witch's charm. We call it the witch's cross. It's got the coyote bones. It's got a bat head root. So bat head roots are kind of like plant gargoyles. So it's going to help protect you, ward off any evil spirits, that type of thing. Bells are really good for warding. So if you have any kind of bells you can hang, that'll do great. The Hamsa, we have the evil eye. We have these all over the place, especially if you have a lot of people who are envious of the stuff you do. That's probably one of our favorite wards right there. We have a ward for prosperity, so they can be for other things besides just protection. So this is going to bring us prosperity, fortune to our business. This we got from Julie's Cauldron. She made this. So you have the bell, which is a ward, the pentacle, which acts as a ward, and then the tiger's eye. And then the very last one, I can't remember what root that is, but I'm sure my husband knows. And then of course we have a lot of deities. So deities also act as wards, so they're statues, they're idols. So we have a whole process of waking them up. So they kind of do that work. Alright, come back over here. Hopefully I can get this set back up again. Some other things that we can use for wards. So if you want to make them really pretty and fancy, they can be simple or they can be ornate. So this is one from Haiti. Well, it's a take on something from Haiti called the packet Congo, but we call it Wanga packets in our tradition. So basically that just means magical bundle. It has the ingredients on the inside of like just a muslin cloth, and then these are made by my husband. He adorns them with, like, again, this is the evil eye motif. So this would just sit on your altar, on a shelf in your home, and it's an active tool, so it's always going to be emitting something. So those are good to have. This is a kind of deity vessel that we have. So this one was actually made for Brazilian spirits, so like Eshus. So this has black figs with some cinnamon whiskey. So cinnamon is a really protective herb. So steep cinnamon in whiskey. We added it to here. And then of course you have the phallic symbol, which is evil averting. So it works out in that it not only is an offering to the spirit, makes them happy, but it also helps protect our house. So it brings that power into it too. So basically, just go around your house, look for stuff that you want to use, little vessels, anything, and it can even be something that you have in plain sight already. So like even like on your altar where you have your main statues or your patron deities, make them a little vessel like this. Pack it with their sacred herbs, stones, minerals, and then put it behind them just to bring their divine protective energy into your house. So it's a little bit more dynamic as opposed to just having like a statue or focusing or meditating on. It becomes like a living idol. So something that you can actually work through and work with. Other than that, the homework for this month is going to be to make a type of ward for winter. I was going to do that for this video, but I figured it was going to take a little bit too much time, and I should probably just go over the concept of wards before we did that. So I'll be posting that probably tomorrow, but it'll be like more like a mojo bag, if you want to say that. So it'll be a little bit easier, like kind of like a beginner type of ward to prepare. But other than that, does anyone have any questions so far? Have you created wards before for yourself? And I'm probably forgetting a whole bunch of stuff, but I didn't write any of this down. We were downtown all day, so. Yes. So any kind of your personal concerns, the more personal, the better. Those are great for protection. So saliva, urine, menstrual fluid, anything like that. Like there's, like people use menstrual fluid to anoint their protective candles, well, women do. So it's being in the magical traditions, it is a little dirty. So try not to keep it so clean and safe. You really want to get creative with your work, because the more creative it is, the more potent it's going to be. The more personal it is, the more potent it's going to be. So my husband just brought me one of our favorite wards. This one gets people not just because of what's in it, but also because of how it looks. So we actually had these in our living room for a little while, but we have to move them because we keep having guests. So this is along the lines of the other stuff we were talking about where you prepare like a packet. But this one is a little bit bigger. So this is actually one of our voodoo spirits. Inside here is the same thing, so the same kind of construction as this. Obviously it's not as ornate as this, but these are real bull horns, skull, mirrors, so it's got all the makings for your ward. Not only is it a powerful protective charm, but this is a living spirit, so we respect it, we serve it, we give it offerings. A lot of times your wards are going to be kind of like imps, so you want to treat them as such, or spirits, imps or spirits. So treat them as such, respect them, and they'll definitely help you out. Yeah, thank you. We just stocked Julie up with a whole bunch of our candles. We're hoping to get her a bunch more stuff this next go around in May when we come there. So we'll definitely get her a lot of stuff. Yeah, breast milk is definitely good for protection, prosperity. It's got that also nurturing, bringing peace. I know a lot of people will add that to peace baths. So definitely, yeah, get creative with that. See if we have any other stuff we can show you for wards. We have a lot of stuff in our house, so kind of looking around, seeing what we have. Like for example, like if you look at this statue, this is Our Lady of Candelaria. She is big in South America. Basically, she's an aspect of Mary, but she's originally a pagan goddess who the Catholic priest just prescribed Catholic Mary to. So she's actually a ward. Not only are the eyes, so it's kind of like the evil eye, so they'll kind of like follow you around when you're in our house, but the statue itself is prepared. So inside her dressings, we keep a lot of our protection amulets and stuff like that. So don't be afraid of using, like if you were raised Catholic or grew up Catholic, exploit the saints. Many of them were pagans. A lot of them are workers, so they absolutely love this. This is Saint Expedite. The great thing about Saint Expedite is he's kind of like a mystery. So he showed up. His legends always have him showing up by water. So like a box washes ashore, like in New Orleans or France, and it's labeled Expedite. And some nuns find it, and they think that's his name. So they say, oh, this is Saint Expedite. He is the patron saint of getting things done fast. In Reunion Island, he is considered a devil at the crossroads. So you serve him in the crossroads in the cemetery. So if you see, let's see, get this lined up. This is our Expedite. He's got some red eyes there. It just shows infernal nature. We have our theories on who the statue originally was. This kind of looks a little bit like the statues of Caesar that you see. So we kind of think that's probably the statue that washed ashore was a statue of the Roman Emperor Caesar, and they just kind of made him a saint. But he is extremely effective. So if you need to get work done, or if you have anything attacking you that you need to be resolved fast, go to Expedite. He loves his pagans. In fact, on Reunion Island, there's a huge Hindu population. They serve him next to Kali. So him and Kali get along really well. They even have a symbol, which used to be on here, but it's a cross formed out of tridents. So that represents the fusion or the joining of Catholicism with paganism. So Expedite, if you want to work with a saint, if you were raised Catholic, he has absolutely nothing against pagans. He's not a conversion-based saint. Of course, his Catholic myths kind of portray him as such, but those are all made up. But he works astoundingly. He's the patron saint of our household. Of course, we have our patron gods, but... So his wards, I don't know if you can see any of them if they're in the front, but he has this charm necklace. So this is basically a hoodoo necklace made up of many different elements that you find in hoodoo. So you have the bat head root that we had on the witch's cross. This is a cat eye shell. So the thing with cat eye shells is on the reverse, it looks kind of like an evil eye. You have tiny shells, coins, different little bells, seeds. There's a high John root on here somewhere. So these, if you can find one of these necklaces, a lot of times you find them on like eBay, Etsy. Definitely scoop them up because they're very powerful, potent charms. So that's, he also has a jar in here somewhere full of protective stuff, but I can't find it at the moment. So the next spirit we'll talk about. So these, again, your spirits are also your ward. So when you're serving your spirits, they should be protecting your house too. So this is Santa Muerte. So she is obviously inspired by Catholicism. There's several theories on where she comes from. She could be a pre-colonial Aztec goddess of the underworld. She could be the Parkai, so the Fates, which is kind of our theory. Basically, she comes. She's a singular, but she's also three sisters. So you have La Blanca, La Roja, and La Negra. So the white, the red, and the black. Kind of lending to the fate theory. So you have them right there. And she is also another impartial one. So she does not care who you are, what you worship. She kind of wants to do her own thing, so you keep her by yourself. But she will help you no matter who you are. She doesn't care if you're a sinner or a saint. And her wards are right here. So we keep those on the altar. One for each color. So these are her three main colors. There are other colors. So you have like her in gold right here. So that's for prosperity. And I just dropped that hand. Put that back there. We can send everybody information on her. We can do some posts if you're not familiar with her. And then another great place to keep your wards is with your ancestors. So this is our ancestors right here. So I kind of have like a fusion thing going on with Catholicism and paganism. So I use these little, so I originally got these because I was going to do statues of the four winds. But instead I'm going to use them for kind of like Lars of ancient Rome. So kind of like just familial spirits or ancestors. So I have a boy and a girl. This is Melusina. So one of our ancestors is Jaquetta Woodville, who's the mother of Elizabeth Woodville. And she said that our family is related to the mermaid Melusina. So I have her. She's filled with herbs, stones, all kind of protective and magical ingredients to kind of make her a living idol too. So whenever I need healing, prosperity, that kind of thing, help with getting rid of enemies, I'll go to her, light her candle. The snake, this is also prepared. So snakes are kind of like your general ancestor image. This has snake skin. Can't remember. I made this years ago, but it has a bunch of stuff in there. But yeah, your ancestors, not only are they active forces in your life, but they're great for keeping your wards. So I'm going to actually make this into a ward. It's not done yet, but that's going to sit right here. So all right, so that is basically, oh yeah, she has a great crown. Alan got that. He found all those. In fact, I'll show you guys the main room. Has a lot of stuff in it right now because we're kind of reorganizing for the holidays, but all right. So this is our altar room. So this is pretty much our sacred space. Right now it's kind of like we're keeping some things in here. We have a couple more of those spirits that he's making. Let's see, can you see that? Yeah. There we go. So these are like those, if you can see in his hand. I'm trying to see if I can get that. Yeah. So he has the wards in his hand. He's holding those. This is his wife. All right. Now, I don't remember if you guys remember the homework assignment, I think a couple months ago, on spirit vessels, but you'll see a lot of those in here. So, this is Poseidon. This is an incarnation of Hecate called Inalia. So she's the sea goddess. So she's got, this is her spirit vessel under her. His spirit vessel is actually hidden. This is actually not it. That's just to raise him up. Can't see it. It's behind there. And then this is my queen, Hecate. This is her altar. So this is her main vessel right here. And then she has 3 domains that she kind of rules over. So you have the underworld, the heavens, and then back there is the ether. So black for the underworld, white for the heavens, red for the ether. So those can kind of act as batteries for spells. Got Dionysus. And then here is our voodoo. So this is Haitian voodoo. You can see a lot of different things he makes. We sell these through the store. So he's got a whole bunch of them made. Lots of spirits. We have Kimbanda, which is from Brazil. So this is kind of an altar to the devil and his bride, Maria Padilla. So the devil is basically the wrathful form of the pagan gods. So like in my Gnosis, he's the god Pan. So this is the wrath of Pan, who kind of counteracts or goes against the tyranny of monotheism or Christianity. He became this entity. So he's not necessarily evil, he's just anti monotheism. So the destructive force of monotheism. These are all the Kimbanda spirits. And then here is Pan down here. So I have a separate altar to his natural form. Trying to guide this phone. Anybody have any questions so far? So our altars, we treat them as active forces in our life. So like I said, these are wards as well. So keep up your altars, keep up your devotion, and your gods will and your spirits will naturally protect you. I know we need to have like little like summer apprenticeships where people come and stay with us. This is our shipping and receiving, so it's all dark. We're not really working right now. All right, so what do you put in your wards? So this is something that a lot of people might have trouble with knowing what exactly goes in them. So to start, typically when I tell people to create wards, you want something that's a mineral, so a stone, metal, anything like that. Something that is an herb, so an herb or root. Something that is animal based. It could be actually like a bone, fur, some kind of like dried animal or insect. You want a liquid in there, so that's going to give it the life and the essence. That's usually in the form of some kind of alcohol, so like rum, whiskey, Everclear, something like that. Vinegar is a good one, especially like red wine vinegar or white wine vinegar. And then you can add things like charms. You can add like little stars or moons, or like camphor is a really good one. Camphor is a really good, not only cleansing but warding. So it repels negativity. It like gets rid of pests. So that could be spiritual pests as well. One of the great things that you always want to put in a ward that's going to boost it is herbs like wormwood or mugwort. So anytime you add that to a spell, it really enhances the power. Spirits generally don't like the bitterness of wormwood, so it really casts them off. It's sacred to a lot of protective deities. Salt is a really good one. So you have the purity of salt, which wards off impure spirits. Black salt is a really good salt that you can put in there. Black salt isn't the volcanic salt that you would find in like a store. It's like, typically, if you go to an occult shop and they're selling black salt, it's going to be either volcanic salt or it's going to be dyed salt. So it'll just be dyed black. You want to make it yourself. So to do that, you just get sea salt, you get iron, so it could be like scrapings from your cauldron, or even black iron oxide, which is what we use. It's way easier. And then ashes. So usually when we do spell work, we keep all the ashes, and then we'll use it in our black salt. And you just mix it all up. You can add oils if you want, just to kind of give it a little bit more power. And then you'll use that in your wards. You can use it as like a warding power itself. So you can sprinkle it on your doorstep, do a floor wash with it. It's totally up to you. You can also hang bunches of herbs. So like oak is a really good one that you can hang. So get like a branch of oak, hang it upside down. Not only does it look nice, but it acts as a ward. A lot of people will actually carve out and prepare acorns as wards. So they're cute little things. You can just hang all over the place. So let me see if I can get some herbs. All right. So, yes, pepper flakes is great. And if you like do like ground black pepper, that's also really good in there. Anything really spicy. That's another thing in your wards. Spicy things work really well. So anything hot. So hot herbs would be grains of paradise, pepper, like either pepper flakes, cayenne pepper or black pepper. It can be cinnamon. Cinnamon's a great one because not only is it kind of like sweet, so it helps sweeten the energy around you, but it's also hot, so it gets rid of negative energy. And then cloves. So grind those all up, add those to everything too. Vervain is a really good one. So this is a really, really good. Oh, I just noticed my video's backwards, but this is vervain. So this is actually traditionally a witch's herb too. So they say that it wards off witches, but what it really means is witchcraft. So if anyone's sending witchcraft against you, this is a really good protective herb. Any kind of herb that has a pleasant scent is great in your ward. So this jar is almost empty. We use it a lot. But lavender. Not only is lavender good for warding against enemies or keeping your place safe, but it's also really good for adding a calming energy too. So if you have like really high energy household, if you have kids, or if you just have like even riled up animals, adding lavender to your wards will do amazing. Same with lemon balm if you have lemon balm too. Another really good one is dragon's blood. Fantastic protective herb, or resin actually. So when you go on the market there's two types of dragon's blood, and a lot of people don't really realize this. There's the incense one that you burn, but then there's also this one, which is a little bit more glass-like. And this is usually, when you see dragon's blood ink, this is what they're making it with. It's this really, really dark red resin. So this does not smell good when you burn it. This actually smells like burning tires. But this is what we use in our wards. Since we're not going to use it as an incense, crush this up. It gets a really deep scarlet color, really pretty. You can make your ink with it. But yeah, this is great for actually doing workings and not burning. So the other dragon's blood, you'll recognize it because it's a little bit more orangey, so it's a little bit lighter in color. When you grind it, it's more orangey. It's not so dark red. Agrimony is a really good protective herb. This one's used in hoodoo a lot, so we always add that. Another one to get. Hawthorn berries. So I love these in all of my evil eye stuff because they actually look like little evil eyes, and you can paint them, any way you want. Decorate them, paint them that nice cobalt blue color. Make little eyes for it. You can string them onto charms and actually wear them. Yeah, I should have told people to bring like a notebook when they watch this, because like I said, I didn't have time to actually formally prepare something, so I'm kind of winging it, but I want to cover all the bases for you. Another thing you want on hand when you're doing wards is, let's see, where is it? Right there. So you want a really strong alcohol right here. So we use Everclear. This one's perfect because it catches on fire, so it looks really nice. But you don't really catch it on fire when you're doing wards necessarily. You can, and I can actually talk about that in a second. But, and then this one, we use white wine vinegar. So this makes up pretty much the blood of our ward typically. We like the white color because it's a little bit more peaceful than red. So red, alright, so if you're getting into wines as like offerings or ingredients in your spell work, red symbolizes, actually acts as a replacement for blood. So like, for example, in like ancient Greece, they would use it in place of animal sacrifice or human sacrifice, and it would be for the underworldy gods or the dead. Whereas white wine is more pure, so it's like the abundance of the earth, so it's more for not so much the underworld gods, but the earthly gods and then the heavenly gods. So that's why we use this. It's a little less intense than using red wine. We don't want to, unless we're specifically targeting the wandering dead for protection or our chthonic gods, we would typically go with white wine vinegar. So, catching the Everclear on fire. I've done this a few times, especially if I'm creating a ward or spirit vessel for fire gods like Hephestus. And I'll usually use a little cauldron like this. So, what you do is you put the mineral ingredients in first, so like stones, any kind of metals, anything like that. Pour the Everclear in. You can prepare the Everclear with oils, tincture it with some herbs if you want, and then light it on fire. So that's going to create like a sacred fire in your vessel. It's going to heat up the vessel. So this is a little bit more aggressive than your typical ward because it actually has active flame. And then while it's burning, you restore the top. And that's going to keep that fiery energy in there. And it's also going to consecrate all of the elements with fire. So this, typically, if you want to make one of these are great for your wards by your front and back door. And also the iron itself acts as a ward, so it's going to repel any kind of negative spirits or energies that are trying to influence you. Any questions so far? All right. So, wards don't necessarily only have to be objects too. So, I mean, that's my personal favorite way of doing wards, but they can be even more subtle than that. You can ward your house with protective oil. So what you would do is you would anoint your doorways and windows with like a protective symbol. Usually people do like a pentagram with oil above all their doors and windows. That is a ward itself. Floor washes with this stuff right here, red brick dust. So in movies and media, you see people sprinkling this all over the place. But really, oh, where'd I get the little cauldron? eBay. Yeah, you just go on eBay. They're all over the place. If you have, I'm going to tell Julie to start stocking these because she actually has a wholesaler who sells these. So I think she would really do well with these. I'm going to kind of force her to do that. But yeah, just go on eBay. They're like 20 bucks. So red brick dust. The origin of red brick dust in hoodoo comes from Africa. Yeah, Amazon too. Amazon is fantastic, especially with quicker shipping. So, red brick dust comes directly from Africa. This is something that is a New World replacement for red ochre, which a lot of African tribes consider protective. So a lot of times you'll see them adorning their hair with it. They'll use it as like a makeup or a paint. So when they came to the New World, or when they were forced here as slaves, they implored the use of red brick dust to replace that, and they use it in floor washes. You can sprinkle it, but that is messy. But this is extremely good for protection. A lot of people also attribute the fact that it's a building material to its protective properties. That's kind of like your own UPG, I guess you could say. It doesn't really have anything to do with it unless you want to prescribe that intent to it. But yeah, it's mainly the color of the red. The red is really good for an aggressive protection. So put this in when you're mopping your house, especially your doorstep. You just put a little bit of red brick dust in there. It's not gonna stain your wood or anything like that, especially if you're doing just a little bit of it. And this will protect your entire house. With New Year's coming up, that's when you want to start doing all this stuff. So you want to sweep your house, mop your floors, and then do all of your wards. And then you'll be good to go for the entire new year. We usually cleanse and sense, so we will fumigate all of our wards once a month. I try to do it on the new moon. As the moon is dark and starts to regain its power, that's when I refresh all of my magical tools. A lot of people do it on the full moon. That's also an option for you. It's just basically personal preference. My patroness is Hecate, so her main monthly day is on the new moon, so that's why I do it that day. But if you're more inclined to do it on the full moon, that's totally up to you. That had to be amazing. Africa, a lot of the magic that we do in the New World is from Africa. That was another thing that came up in the group was conjure. So folk magic, hoodoo, root work, that's a melting pot tradition from pretty much any ancestors that were brought here like as slaves, indentured servants, anyone who is suppressed. So you have the Italians, the Irish, the African slaves. They all were housed and kept together. So they shared their magical traditions and created North American root work and hoodoo. So anything that you're doing that's involving these new world ingredients, like for example, American mandrake, which is different than European mandrake, the red brick dust, floor washes, the use of graveyard dirts, foot track magic, that's coming from Africa. And it's so, okay, so Justin, the spirits that you want to work with are the ones that are close to you in your household practices. So I really couldn't suggest specific ones, but for example, we have so many traditions in our house that it really just depends on what we need. My main pantheon is the Greek gods, so that's who I usually work with. So my wards, I consecrate them to Hecate predominantly. She does all my spell work wards, so my wards are protect against witchcraft and the evil eye. Prosperity wards, I will tend to go with people like Apollo or Helios, the sun, or even Hades. So Hades is a wealth-giving god. So if I want to add a little bit more of my chthonic energies in there. We also have voodoo, like I said. So a lot of our voodoo spirits will make wards for. Especially Azili Danto. She's a very protective spirit. The Nago, who are the warrior spirits of voodoo, will create wards for. In fact, a lot of them have the cauldron wards because they really like that irony material. Gede, that's who the little fetishes that I showed you earlier. Those are for the Gede. So those protect against ill health. They help you with working with the dead, that type of thing. We also have wards to the Hindu gods. Hindu gods, they have been showing up in our lives so crazily. Like I've ordered stuff online, and for some reason Hindu gods will be sent to me, but it's like for a specific thing that I'm going through at the time, so I'll create something for them. So it really just depends whoever you're working with. If you like the Norse gods, you can make a lot of rune wards with the Norse gods. If you like the Egyptian gods, the Egyptians do a lot with vessels, so you can do a lot of vessel work like that. So it really just depends on, you know, who you actually work with. You can also just do it to generic household spirits. So if you don't work with any pantheon, just make a ward, and whoever your guiding spirits are, whether you know them or not, they're going to take care of it. So back to the folk magic-y aspect of what we're doing. So warding is a big part of American folk magic. So the conjure hoodoo root work. It has its origins in things like gree in New Orleans, medicine bags from Native Americans, jackballs and stuff like that. So they've taken all this technology and they've made it usable, eclectic, and there's something out there for everyone. Oh yeah, Freda as well. So that's one of the great things about Freda. She's very underestimated by a lot of, especially Westerners who are outside the tradition. They see her as just like a love loa, so a love spirit. But her beauty is so intense that if you're cursed and you put that curse in front of her, her beauty will obliterate it. So it'll completely dissolve that curse from you. Let's see what.
Move your camera.
Huh?
Move your camera.
Oh. I've been having this off-centered this whole time. Ah, you know what? That's there we go. There. Is that better?
It's gonna get chopped.
So yeah, like I'll put a lot of instructional stuff in the group for you. I'll kind of compile what we typically do. And like I said, the spell work is going to be the homework for this month is going to be to create a winter ward. So you can use that to kind of see, that's going to give you the structure on any kind of ward you're going to create is going to be in that homework. So once you do that, it's going to be up to you to get creative with it. So you can do literally whatever you want. There are no rules. Anyone who tells you that there's rules to it is lying to you. They're just trying to police your own practices. Just do as your spirits guide you. And if you want to put something in there that I didn't mention, like if something comes, like if you have an intense feeling to put an herb or some kind of ingredient in it that I didn't mention, do it, because that is your spirits telling you they want that in there. That's not me telling you, that's your spirits telling you they want it in there. And you always have to listen to your spirits above anyone else. Yeah, I totally missed the comment about moving my husband came in and had me do it. Sorry about that. And if you like tattoos or any kind of body art, that can act as wards as well. I wear a lot of wards. So I have this one that I just got. This awesome Medusa that I think I posted in the group. Can't really see her because the light, but So she's kind of like my travel ward. I also carry them around in my pocket. So I have like a pouch. This goes with me literally everywhere. Much to the frustration of my husband, who says I put too much stuff in my pockets. So I always have these little, I don't know if Julie still sells them, but little icons of my patron gods. So Pan and Hecate. Right there. And then I usually have like some kind of gemstone or something with them. So for them, because they're more protective, chthonic energies, I use smoky quartz. So that'll always be with them. So no matter where I go, I always have my wards with me. Oh yeah. Is this one yours?
Yep.
Another thing. Now this is fun. This next one is really great. So this is one that I don't know if you're familiar with. Charles Leland. He's the one who wrote Aradia, Gospel of the Witches. He was actually big into folk magic, particularly around Italy and Europe, but also in the New World, in the United States. He was good friends with Mary Owens, who wrote some really good books on conjure and hoodoo, which I'll put in the group, because I think I forgot to do that when someone asked for book recommendations. The Witch Bag. So this, you carry with you. I don't know who was at the Samhain Festival, but I was wearing one of these on my belt loop. You can carry it in your pocket, but they just look cool on your belt loop, and it's like really enigmatic because it's, you know, like a black bag full of stuff. The way you do it is you have a core group of items that you carry around with you. So it's usually like little souvenir type stuff, like special coins. Let's see, this one's a really good one. I think it's called a thaler. Something Teresa Thaler. So this is actually big amongst the Romani people. So this is something that they carry for luck and protection. It's a very specific coin. So you keep that in your bag. And again, go to eBay, Etsy, all these places you can find all of this. Items of significance. Like this one is a little statue of the Buddhist, I guess you'd call her a Bodhisattva or goddess. This is Kuan Yin, compassion. So she's going to bring calming, serenity. And this is a ward. So this is a personal ward that you walk around with. If you're Catholic, you can throw a cross in there. Jesus was actually pretty cool. He had nothing to do with all that Old Testament crap. Yeah, dollar comes from the word thaler. I forgot where thalers are from. So this is Benedict. So this is to... So we work with a lot of really dark spirits in our line of work. He wards off against those malicious demons that just want to mess with you. Just keep that in there. So there's a bunch of other cool stuff in here. But one thing that... Oh, you know what? Here's... Remember we were talking about cat eye shells earlier? That's what that looks like. So the back is like a little spirally pattern, and then the front is like an eye. So this represents the evil eye. So if you have people throwing envy at you, who are like wishing you to fail, no matter how much cool stuff you're doing or good you're doing, carry one of these. This is going to completely obliterate their envy and their jealousy. The thing with the evil eye is people don't have to be workers, and they don't have to know they're sending it against you to send it against you. So that's why it's good to always be protected against the evil eye. The head of Mercury, right here. So this is one of our pagan gods in here. So he's good for business. He's good for protection when traveling. Athletics. So if you want to go to the gym and get fit, you'd go to Mercury or Hermes. I'm prescribing all of the things for Hermes on Mercury. My husband's probably going to correct me at some point if it's not right. But that's in there. My husband works with the Roman gods. I work with the Greek gods. It's really fun in our house. Old Testament crap like Leviticus, all the anti-gay stuff. Women are subordinate to men. All that stuff. Jesus wasn't about all that. He was very much into equal rights for everyone. Because when Jesus died on the cross, he was supposed to get rid of the Old Testament. That was the whole thing. It was like him, kind of like if you want to put it into pagan terms, how Zeus supplanted Kronos. It was supposed to be Jesus supplanting his father, although somehow along the way that all got confused. All right, so one of the best little evil averting images, which a lot of people find funny, is the little phallus. So the Romans really loved hanging these everywhere. If you see those little chimes of like phalluses with wings and claws and feet and stuff, those are meant to avert evil. So it kind of scares them off because it represents life, potency, vitality, joy. So it makes people giggle. So that joy actually gets rid of negativity. So that's why these are good to have around. All right, the last thing I'm going to specifically show you is this little stone right here. So one of the things that Charles Leland carried in his bag was what he called the conjurer's stone, which is a black stone, which is actually a meteorite. So if you can get a hold of a meteorite, you will have yourself a conjurer's stone. So this is going to help boost your powers. It traveled through the heavens. So the heavens is the abode of the gods, the fiery ether, where all of our intention goes to manifest. That comes to earth and it bridges directly to that ether. So it's right outside the heavens. So the heavens is kind of like the ethereal realm of the clouds and the angels. Outside of that is the ether where the gods live. And that's where this comes from. So you always want to, if you can get a hold of a meteor, not meteorite. Meteorite is the iron splash that comes from meteor impact. You want the actual meteor itself, which is just a chunk of iron. So when I say we work with darker spirits, these are direct. So kind of to give you some history, you know, like many of us, we have a very Catholic upbringing. You know, my mom was a little bit more open about witchcraft and witches and stuff like that, but on my dad's side of the family, it was really Catholic. My mom was Catholic too, but again, more open-minded to the spiritual aspects of things. Through Catholicism, it's very constricting. It's very denial of human instinct and happiness and freedom. The darker energies challenge that. So they make you reach inside and pretty much embrace those parts of yourself that monotheism or the main Abrahamic faiths would tell you was sin. So they're not evil. However, that could lead to excess. So a lot of times these are very untamed energies. So these spirits, they have no limitations. It's up to the limitations of the person themselves to cut it off. And that's where the, I guess, the evil comes in. So when you're working with them, you just want to have something that kind of keeps them from getting the temptation a little too deep. So this helps you fight off the uncontrolled side of the darker energies. And this is specifically within a Judeo-Christian concept. So it's completely different when you're talking about pagan entities. Remember, so in our practice, our personal practice in our house, we think that there's legitimacy to every religion, including the monotheistic ones. Basically, he's a rogue Babylonian god who got angry because he got the desert when the Most High God divided the world. So he, I think it was Psalm 82, he talks about how he's going to destroy the cults of the rest of the world. Yeah, exactly, taming the beast. So he kind of goes crazy and tries to take over every culture in the world. And that's basically been his goal this whole time, which is why Christianity tries to dominate and convert everyone. With that, specific energies challenge that specific force. So these, like I said, to me, it's the shadow aspect of my pagan gods whose land Christianity has come through and imposed its views on. So these shadow forces come through to challenge the, I guess you'd say, the virtues of monotheism. So you have to kind of work with them under that specific guise. You couldn't take them into a pagan guise because that's not the avenue that they're traveling through, if that makes sense. Whereas we have darker forces in our pagan practices who you would treat differently. So instead of, I don't think a Benedict would, you know, if, like, let's say for some reason Hecate got mad at me and became Brimo, her terrifying aspect, this wouldn't work because he has no power over that avenue of forces. So I would have to come up with a different thing for that. If that makes sense. So, a good one, though, is who kind of stands with a foot in Christianity and paganism is Saint Cyprian. So even if yourself, if you have that ties to your old monotheistic religion and you're pagan now, a really good, besides Expedite, is Cyprian. So he is a sorcerer. He's still a sorcerer. He's regarded as a patron saint of necromancers. He was initiated in the mysteries of around the Mediterranean. He was actually a devotee of Hecate and Apollo. He basically saw that the Christian religion did have power, so he just incorporated that into his own workings. So he didn't really necessarily abandon all of his old beliefs. He just appropriated that Christian theology into his work. But he's a really good one. So, you know, if you're having problems with a dark pagan force, he could potentially help with that. But back to the witch bag as a traveling amulet or a traveling ward. One of the things you do with this is you go around and you collect things. So if you see like if you get a new coin in your change, like an Indian head penny or something like that, you'd put that in there. If you come across any cool little charms that you want to throw in there, like this is a little hamsa that stops the evil eye, so you threw that in there. Another thing is buttons. So if you find buttons in your path, pick them up, put them in your charm bag. A lot of times, like spiritual forces, like I guess you would say nature spirits, or what a lot of people consider fairies, they like buttons, so they'll usually attribute them or like put energies in buttons for you to find. So yeah, this becomes like a growing force, and you can swap things out. You can, you know, I keep a little in mind because I have one of these that's a lot more full because I tend to collect everything. But I have a little thing with herbs in it, like a little charm packet of herbs. Little idols of my favorite gods are in here, so just depends. You know, just continue collecting and doing that. Alright, so the great thing is I have my husband here, so he keeps like going around the house and getting all kinds of little things for me to show you that I would have never thought to bring out. Like, for example, we're all familiar with horseshoes. This is kind of like a extra potent version. It's got the cross of Carvaca on here. But horseshoes are great household wards. So, this one, he got this at the Witches Market in Peru. Oh, keys. Yep, keys are a fantastic one. Keys, so there's a Italian tradition where you take a skeleton key and you blow through, or you whistle through the hole of the key, you tie it on a string and you hang it by your front door, and that's going to act as a ward for you. So it's like a red ribbon or red string. So horseshoes, a lot of people theorize that these come from the goddess Diana. So they represent her horned moon, which used to be a evil averting symbol. So no, I did not double knot your bag. I just did it the once. I would never do that. Yeah, women do. There's a lot of stuff in a woman's purse that can be considered a ward. Like, for example, your compact mirror, that's a ward. Anything that has a mirror on it is going to help you cast off any energies that you don't want. What were you referring to, Renee? Get some more of my tea. But yeah, so horseshoes, hang this above your door. Typically you want this part facing upwards because it catches good energy and prosperity. If you hang it upside down, it sends energy out. So this one has the cross of Kravaka in there, so it's sending out that energy. But if it was empty, you'd hang it up like this, so it catches it. Usually you hang these above your door, and then if someone crosses your threshold who means you harm, it's said to fall off. If it falls off when someone's crossing your door, you know that person is not have good intentions for you. Yeah, the purse itself, that's perfect. You can totally make that into a ward. You can hide stuff in the lining of it. You can just keep all of your charms inside your purse. Yeah, it's all about getting creative. Some people actually even hide wards in the seams of their shirts. So you know the hemline, they'll put stuff actually in that and then re-sew it up. So they'll cut the threads and then fill the seams of their shirts with stuff. That's actually a really big thing in hoodoo. Same with like a mercury dime. If you come across one of those, usually you punch a hole in it, put it on a red string, and wear it on your ankle. That's extremely protective. One of the theories on why that's a protective ward is for foot track magic. So if someone put like goofer dust or hot foot powder in your path, the chemicals like the sulfur is going to interact with the silver of the coin, so you'll know that you were fixed with foot track magic. And also tea is a great ward. So this is an internal ward. So you can prepare a tea for protection that you would drink. So this would be great if you felt like you had a really deep-rooted curse or something like that. Create a tea with, let's say, cinnamon, clove, spearmint. You could do hawthorn berries, and then drink that. You can do like white oak. White oak would be a great one too. So, are there any questions or anything? Anything else you guys want to know about at this point? I know I kind of like rambled and like went all over the place, but like I said, this is my first time doing it, and kind of just threw this together at the last minute. So. And I planned on doing more of these, so if you have any other stuff that you want me to talk about, I'll kind of get a little bit more organized, but I can do any topics. Like I said, we work from home, so we study a lot. We're wealths of knowledge and information, so we're more than happy to help with anything you need help with. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. Yeah, that one that you did with your mom was great. That was a really good one. If he's not going to come in here and give me anything else to show you. Yeah, it was my pleasure. Like I said, we want to do this more, so let me know if you know. Oh, I'll show you one more thing. This is a great one. So this is another one of our. Oh, you know what? Get the fetish too. I'm not gonna stop yet because we have a lot of stuff. But this is another wanga that he created. So I'll kind of go over what this represents. So this is a protection wanga that goes by our front door. You see Jesus here, but this isn't necessarily Jesus. So one of the things is my husband works with the dead a lot. Wherever we move, he tends to open up spiritual crossroads in our house. This represents that crossroads. So this kind of helps guide those forces that are wandering through our house. So this makes it so that anything that enters those crossroads is not malicious. We've had some close calls when we first moved in before we actually started warding, where things would kind of knock on the door and try to get in, and we'd think that it was someone else and open up the door and have to quickly do a cleansing to get rid of whatever came in. So this is really good. So it's kind of like a little spirit itself. These are kind of like arms, so it's really defensive, and it's just filled with all kinds of cool stuff. So this sits by our door. We also have some active spirits. So this is from Africa. So this is actually a real African fetish that has been worked. He sits by our door as well. So there's different types of voodoo. This is from Benin voodoo, so this is different than Haitian voodoo. This is actually the root where Haitian voodoo comes from. We have a husky, so there's always dog hair all over all of our stuff. But so he sits by the door. Whenever this spirit is summoned, the worker will drive a new nail into it. We haven't had to work this one yet, so these are all the original nails. And he's prepared to, so he's got his little packet back here. And if you notice, he's got the mirrors in the eyes. So this is casting off that negativity. It's also a bridge to the spirit world. Oop, can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. And then this is one we actually work, because this is my husband made. So this is an Eshu. So he's kind of like a Legua. So he actually has driven all those nails in there. Each of the little jars is prepared. And also this jar is prepared. So these all sit by our door. So Eshu or Legua typically is a guardian spirit. So he will go by your door. In the bedroom. He keeps bringing me stuff. Alright, so these are spiritual necklaces. These are found in all kinds of traditions. These ones specifically are in Kimbanda. Some people call them guias, but we were told by a Brazilian that that is not correct. So these represent specific spirits. They're prepared with their colors and their number sequences, and then they have a bead at the end, which is called a firma bead, right? This is the firma?
Yep.
And this kind of seals it in. So this seals in their energy. So these are for, like, the Eshus of Kimbanda. This one's for, I think, Eshu... Trunkarua. And then he has one for his dead. So this is the one he uses when he works with the dead. It's got a bone right there. And again, these are wards too. These are prepared and then they're blessed in herbal baths, that type of thing. So these are actually prepared. These are mine to my pagan gods. So this is for Hecate. So you got the red, black, and white. So the black of the underworld, the white of the heavens, and the red of the fiery ether, with the snake bone, which is their sacred animal. So these are bathed in the herbal mixtures too, kept on our altar. And this is for Pan, who's my patron god. So I usually wear these when I do workings, anything like that. Well, both of you are right. I have a lot of spirits that fit both of those profiles who are probably could be showing through. So, like Trunkarua, he wears a top hat. Same with Gede. So Gede's a big spirit in our house. Bawam Semdi, he's one of our main Gede. And I loved horned deities. Pan being my patron. I'm actually making a crown that has 2 goat horns. I just need to figure out how to get them to stay on the crown. So, all right, I think that's everything. Any questions from anyone? Anything you want to add or anything else you want me to go over or anything? Yeah, I'm going to be in this population for a while, so I'll continue my work, continue educating and helping people. So, well, thank you everyone. Thank you for watching. Shoot me a message in my private messenger if you have any other questions, or if you want me to elaborate on anything we talked about. Like I said, I can add recipes for wards in the group itself. The homework itself I'm going to go ahead and add tomorrow, I hope. I might do a little video and post a video too on how to make it. But I really want to see you guys working and really promoting your witchcraft. I think that it's awesome that this group exists, and the community itself is a lot bigger than we all thought it was. So continue doing you, and let me know if you have any questions. You're very welcome. Thanks again for watching, and good night, everyone. I have to figure out how to turn this off.